What's good guys, Adam Lewis here, back with another video, and today we're looking at a waves only mix walkthrough. Now the track we're using in this video is BACKWIDDA by Kamakaze, and this track is actually out there, released on all platforms, and links for that will be in the description. There's a music video out there as well. The original mix for this song did have plugins from other manufacturers in it, so I have remixed the song for the purposes of this video, and also so I can create a mix template that you guys can go and purchase. And as long as you have all of the Waves plugins that I use in the session, or you have the Waves subscription, then you'll be able to open this up and hopefully it can help you with your recording or your mixing sessions. Now I do just want to stress that this is not a paid or a sponsored video. Every single plugin that I'm using in this project are tools that I use on a regular basis in real mixes. So with all that said, let's dive into the mix. So I want to start off here by just quickly showing you how I structured the project, how the mix is kind of routed, and you know what's output into what. So you'll see here I'm using what's called track stacks in Logic, but it's basically like a summon bus or a summon stack. You'll see here I've got one for the drums, one for the bass, one for the instruments, one for the chorus vocals, one for the chorus adlibs, and then one for the verse vocals. So within the drum stack, you'll see here I've got 4 tracks: kick, snare, hats, and another hat there. Within the bass stack, I've got the 808, which kind of goes throughout the whole song. And then there's this kind of 808 fill here, but we'll get to that later. Within the instruments, there's a piano, there's a key, and there's a Rhodes, and a couple of effects parts there. Within the chorus, there's just 2 main layers, sort of like a left and a right, and then a delay here. The chorus adlibs, there's just a couple of lines there that I've panned left and right. And then within the verse vocals, there's just 1 main lead verse vocal and a couple of effects here. Now all of these instrumental stacks all output to bus 5, which is my all instrumental bus. And that's located down here. And that just allows me to easily kind of turn up and down the whole beat as a whole. I can even put plugins on the beat as a whole. I haven't done that on this particular mix, but just to show you that all of these stacks up here for the instrumental all output to bus 5, my all instrumental bus. Similarly, all of my vocal stacks output to bus 20, which is down here, and I call it my all vocal bus. And I have got a couple of plugins on there as well. And again, it just allows me to easily sort of solo or mute all of the vocals together. I can turn them all up or down, and I can also add some overall processing to all of the vocals at once using this bus here. So I've also got some sends here for the vocals. I've got a short verb, a quarter note delay, and a slap delay. And those are sent from the actual stacks, from the vocal stacks. So for example, on this verse stack, you'll see here that while I've got some actual processing on there, I've also got these sends going out 21, 23, and 24, which are these 3 effects here. They also all output to bus 20, which is the all vocal bus. So when I turn the vocals up from this bus here, the all vocal bus, it also will affect the volume of all of the sends that are coming from the vocals. So both the instrumental bus and the all vocal bus output to bus 30, which is my master bus, and that's located down here. And I've got my bus processing on here. And that's the basics of how this mix is structured. I hope that makes sense and it's not too complicated. Please do drop a comment if you want me to explain anything further, but hopefully that gives you a good idea. And if you do get hold of the template, you'll be able to explore this and mess about with it and change things as you see fit as well. Now, another thing I wanted to quickly mention is that you might see throughout this mix that I'm using a lot of this plugin. You'll see it going along here. I'm using it on almost every track in the project, and that's this Shep's Omnichannel plugin. This is one of my favorite channel strip plugins. As you can see, it's got a number of functions: preamp, gate, DS, EQ, compression. So you can really use this plugin to get a sound going really quickly, and that's the reason why I've got it on every track in this particular mix. I do this on a lot of mixes. Sometimes I'll just pull up a channel strip on most, if not all, the channels. Sometimes I won't necessarily even use it, but it's just there in case I need it. And this allows me to just quickly get a sound going. I think it's important for your workflow when you're mixing to not have too many complications in the way. If I want to quickly add some saturation to something, quickly put a de-esser, quickly EQ something with a nice EQ, put a compressor on something, a channel strip like this is really handy for that. It allows me to not have to think too much about what plugin I want to use. Now I can always, after I've got a sound going on this, maybe I've used the compressor, but I'm not liking how that compressor's sounding, then of course I can swap that out, disable it in here, pull up a different compressor and use that. But I like to have this just handy there on every single channel. Sometimes I'm not even necessarily using it, or maybe using just one section out of these sections that are available. But just a heads up, you're going to see that plugin a lot throughout this walkthrough. So we'll start where I started, and that's with the drums. I always start with the drums on every single mix that I do. Some people prefer to go the other way and start with vocals, and I get the logic behind that. But for me, I've always started with drums. And I think with this genre, with hip hop, with rap, R&B, and these kind of genres, getting the drums to sound right before you do anything else is very crucial. Obviously, the vocals are crucial too. But for me, I like to get the drums sounding bang on how I want them first. Then we move on to the bass, then the instruments, and then we work on the vocals. So that's the way that we're going to start today. So let me play you the drums first of all on their own to see how they sound right now. So we'll start with the kick here, and I'll play you how it sounded before I put any processing on it at all, and then we'll dive into how I treated it. So first thing is the Shep's Omni channel, and I think all I've done here is just added a slight bit of saturation, and probably that just adds a little bit of level as well and just turns it up a little bit. Next, I've got the F6 EQ, and as you can see, I'm just ducking out here around 200 Hertz, and I'm boosting here at around 60. This is always a nice frequency to boost in kicks if you feel like they're lacking a little bit of punch. A little boost in 60 can help, and this is just to reduce a little bit of the mud on the kick as well. After that, I pulled up a Pultec EQ, and I'm just boosting down here, adding more weight to the kick. So I hope you can hear that's just adding a nice bit more of a rounded bottom end to the kick there. So after that, I'm using the L2 limiter, and this is just to kind of shave off the peaks of the kick to try and give us more headroom in the master. The idea here is not for it to change the sound. It's like I say, just to kind of squash it down a little bit to give us more room when we come to boosting the mix later on in the master. So we're going to add in the rim snare here. So on this snare, I'm using the Omni channel again, a little bit of saturation, which probably brings up the level as well, and a little bit of a boost in the high end over here on the EQ as well. Yeah, you see it just helps it poke through a lot better and just brings out some of the nice high end on there. After that, we've got some hats. So you see again, similar to the snare, a little bit of saturation, a little bit of high end boost as well. But then I've also added the chroma tape. This is one of my favorite plugins for adding some dirt or some grit to a sound. And this can, in this case, I think I'm using it just to kind of dull it down a little bit and help it to kind of sit further back. I think it was too sharp on my ear. So I'm using this on the 7.5 speed with a little bit of flux as well. And you'll see how this hopefully just kind of makes it less sharp, kind of dulls it down a little bit. So that's really a taste thing, you know, how you want your hats to sound. If you prefer your hats with a lot more brightness and high end and more in your face, then you won't want to use this. But for this particular mix, for some reason, I just felt like I wanted them to be a little bit more dirty, a little bit more gritty, and it also means they will sit further back in the mix a little bit. Got another hat here. And I think I've literally used exactly the same settings on that as I did on the other hats. Yep. So just dulled them down a little bit with the chroma tape plugin. Now, as well as the processing on the individual drum sounds here, you'll see that on my drum stack, I'm using some bus processing on the drum bus here. First thing in the chain is this SSL channel strip. And I think I'm just adding some saturation with this on this mic dial here and a little bit of EQ and compression too. So let me show you the before and after on this. Yeah, so it's kind of giving them just a little bit more push, a little bit more oomph. Yeah, so it's just giving them more punch, more grit, more everything. A little bit more treble in there as well, just to boost them up, make them more in your face. After that, we've got the Vitamin plugin. As you can see, I'm using a kind of smiley face here to add some more low end and also a little bit more high end as well. This is like a saturator or a harmonic exciter. And I like to use this just to add little touches of excitement in particular frequencies. So yeah, just adding a nice little bit of sort of high-end bite and adding some more grunt down here as well in the low end. After that, we're adding some distortion or saturation with the BB Tubes plugin. It's a really nice plugin. What I like about this plugin is you can really get some nice sort of harmonic distortion going with these two knobs here. And then as you can see here, I kind of dial it back. So it's like parallel processing where you're hearing more of the dry signal than the wet. And you just add in that little bit of distortion in rather than kind of overwhelming your sound with it. Yeah, so that's pretty subtle, but I think you can hear it's just adding a little bit of grit to the drums. We'll move on now to the bass, and as you can see, for the most part, it's pretty much just an 808 sequence going all the way throughout the song. So I'll play you how this sounds with the drums, and then we'll dive into how I treated it. So as you can see, I'm using the Sheps Omnichannel again. I've got the saturation setting down here on heavy, and I'm boosting some saturation around 30, 32. I'm also compressing it a little bit. Yeah, so the saturation here is just to add a little bit of distortion to the bass. It's already got some on it. I just wanted to add a little bit more. Adding saturation like this to your 808s can really help for it to come through on smaller systems, smaller speakers where maybe you've not got the kind of real low-end performance from a system or a speaker, like a phone or a laptop, you know. So adding some distortion like this can help it to cut through, and you can still kind of hear the basis of what the 808s are doing without actually hearing the kind of low-end rumble. I'm just compressing here to kind of tame it a little bit so it's not overwhelming our master bus again. Now after that, I'm using the R-Bass plugin. Now I usually use this for sounds that are a little bit anemic in the low end, you know, they're really lacking low end. Now this sound is really not lacking low end, but I think I just liked how this sounded. Sometimes I try it on 808s and bass lines and just see if it just adds a little bit more rumble in the really, really low parts. So I'm going here below 50. So let me show you this before and after. Let's see if you can hear what I'm saying. Yeah, so it's just adding even more rumble and even more roundness down there in the low end, and I just liked what it was doing. So after that, we've got the F6 plugin. And as you can see, I'm boosting a little bit here in these frequencies where the distortion lives. But what you'll also see here is that every time the kick hits, we're adding some sidechain compression down here in the low part of the bass. And you'll see here that I've got the kick input in here as my sidechain. And what this does is just allows the kick and the bass to kind of live together without interfering with each other too much. You know, the real low end on the kick and the low end on this bass are going to be competing for space. And in the low end is where most of your headroom gets eaten up in terms of trying to get level out of the song at the end in the mastering stage. So I always like when there's two competing sort of bass elements of a song going on like this. I usually use some sort of side chaining to kind of duck one down when the other one hits. And in this case, it's important that the kick has its space and has its time in the track. So I decided to pull down the bass when the kick hits using this sidechain compression here. As you can see, there's only 3 main instruments in this song. We've got a piano shot, some other keys, and then some Rhodes. It's a really simple kind of arrangement going on with this song. So again, adding some saturation here, boosting a little bit above 3K just for some clarity on there, and then dipping a little bit as well at around 200 Hertz. And this is just helping with any kind of muddiness that may have been in the sound. Very, very minimal. The keys here. Again, same thing, tiny bit of saturation, boosting here above 2K and dipping again around 200 Hertz just to remove a little bit of muddiness that was in there. And then the Rhodes. Yeah, literally hardly anything, just touching it here with the saturation, and that's it. Now, as I said, this is a very simple arrangement when it comes to the instruments on the song. There is a couple of moments that I tried to create to kind of add some variation, which we'll get to in a moment. But for the most part, it's a very simple kind of layout here. So I just wanted to highlight a couple of kind of moments within the beat where things do change up a little bit and show you what I did. So there's this part here with this 808 fill. Now, I really like parts like this in a track, particularly when the beat is quite straightforward, quite laid back. To add little elements like this, it really helps to break up the song, and combined with what's going on the track, which we'll get to in a little bit with the vocals, you'll hear how it has an impact on the song. All I did with this, literally just added some boosting up here, sort of from the mid-range to the high end, to just make this stand out a little bit more. Yeah, so as you can see, it just kind of adds a little bit more brightness to that and makes it stand out. And there's this other part here where I've actually created a little bit of a change and a switch up in the beat. Now all I've done is I've taken the drums out for this section. I've chopped this part of the 808, and then I've hit this button here to reverse it. And then I've also chopped part of the keys and the Rhodes out, brought them down here and reversed them as well. But then as you can see, I've used this Meta Filter plugin to add that kind of warped, kind of filtered sound to it. This is the preset. I think this just really helps to add some variation to the sound on this moment here. And I've done the same thing on the Rhodes down here. Now if I play this with the song.
Brulee, rhythm for your head, top tune for your toupee. True say when I'm clear like Blu-ray, more than nice, Morgan Spice, not do say.
So in the context of the song, it just helps to add something. It's just a moment. It's just something to kind of break up the monotony of the beat.
Rhythm for your head, top tune for your toupee. True say when I'm clear like Blu-ray, more than nice, Morgan Spice, not do say.
Yeah, so just a couple of moments I wanted to show you, and particularly just to demonstrate what this plugin can do. So I've also added a touch of reverb to these instruments, and for that I'm using Reverb, and this is quite minimal, but I'll show you what it's doing. So very minimal. These are the settings that I'm using. It's this Verb Whispers preset, and it's just helping to kind of glue them all together a little bit, put them all in a kind of similar space. So let me just play you the full instrumental, fully mixed, so you can hear how that's sounding now. So we'll move on now to the part that you've probably all been waiting for, and that's the vocals. And we're going to start with the verse vocals. This is quite a well-recorded vocal. I think this was done on a Neumann TLM 102, just for reference. That's the mic that was used. Quite well recorded, and I have gone through and already kind of edited this, you know, took out some of the breaths and some of the clicks and pops. So that's already been done. The purpose for this video is just really to show you the mix and how I used these plugins. So it's always important to do some editing and some fixing before we get into the mixing stage, and I've got videos on my channel on how I go about that as well, so check that out if you're interested. But this is how the verse is sounding, fully mixed.
Melodies sound like raindrop dropped off, rave got locked off, juice from Top Shop. Bro just got out the cop shop, when, what, who's there, knock, knock. Flow that I got hot, just like the hot rock that put a hole in your top spot. What they got that I not got dough, got lots, got knots. Like my last name, bust up, bang, bang, pop, them.
So I'm going to take off everything and go through one by one what I did. So this is the raw vocal.
Melodies sound like raindrop dropped off, rave got locked off, juice from Top Shop. Bro just got out the cop shop, when, what, who's there, knock, knock. Flow.
So the first thing that I always start with is an EQ. And for this, I'm using the R6 RTA plugin. And as you can see, rolling off the super lows with a high pass filter. So everything here below 86 is being completely rolled off. And then I'm also dipping down here at kind of 100 to 200. Couple of peaks here that you can see.
Melodies sound like raindrop dropped off, rave got locked off, juice from Top Shop. Bro just got out the cop shop, when, what, who's there, knock, knock. Flow that I got hot, just like the hot rock that put.
And as you can see here, just a little boost here as well in the kind of upper mid range. And then a slight sort of dip here as well in the high end. There was a lot of air on this vocal, and I thought it was a little bit too much to begin with. So I like to start with a little bit more of a cleaner vocal with less air on it to begin with, and then I boost it how I like it later on. But the purpose for these dips here is, you know, the artist Kamakaze has quite a deep voice, and I felt like it was a little bit muddy in these areas.
Melodies sound like raindrop dropped off, rave got locked off, juice from Top Shop. Bro just got out the cop shop, when, what, who's there, knock, knock. Flow that I got hot, just like.
So I like to do this kind of subtractive EQ and corrective EQ before I get started on a vocal. And I think that just gives us a better starting place. After that, I'm using the de-esser, the standard de-esser from Waves, and I really like this de-esser. I use this on pretty much every mix.
Melodies sound like raindrop dropped off, rave got locked off, juice from Top Shop. Bro just got out the cop shop, when, what, who's there, knock, knock. Flow that I.
And that's the first de-esser that I'm using on the vocal. I like to do this one before I compress, and then I do one later on as well in the process. But this one, again, just kind of gets us to where we want to get started with the vocal before we start adding compression and other EQs and things. So after that, as you can see again, using the Shep's Omni channel, I really like this on vocals. Adding a little bit of saturation, but it is quite subtle. I'm using the compressor as well in here, and then after that, the EQ. As you can see, boosting here, 2.3 dB, up here above 4K. Let me show you the before and after with this.
Melodies sound like raindrop dropped off, rave got locked off, juice from Top Shop. Bro just got out the cop shop, when, what, who's there, knock, knock. Flow that I got hot, just like the hot rock that put a hole in your top spot. What they got that I not got dough, got lots, got knots. Like my last name, bust up, bang, bang, pop, them boys swag with no styling.
So really kind of bringing the vocal more in line, reducing some of the dynamics, bringing it more up front. So that's the end of the actual processing that I've done on the channel itself here. But as you can see on the bus, the verse bus or the verse stack, I've actually got more plugins going on here. So the first thing is another compressor. And I do like to use multiple compressors sometimes on vocals. So obviously I'm using this one here in the Omni channel, and that's doing quite a bit of reduction. This one's doing a lot less reduction. But let me show you what this is doing.
Melodies sound like raindrop dropped off, rave got locked off, juice from Top Shop. Bro just got out the cop shop, when, what, who's there, knock, knock. Flow that I got hot, just like the hot rock that put a hole in your top spot. What they got that I not got dough, got lots, got knots. Like my last name, bust up, bang, bang, pop, pop. Them boys swag with no styly, them man.
Yeah, so again, just bringing it more further forward and adding a nice tone as well with this emulation of the 1176. After that, I'm using this API 560 plugin. It's a really nice vintage emulation, which I like to use just to add, as you can see, some nice high-end air here going on. And I've also reduced some more low-end with it as well.
Melodies sound like raindrop dropped off, rave got locked off, juice from Top Shop. Bro just got out the cop shop, when, what, who's there, knock, knock. Flow that I got hot, just like the hot rock that put a hole in your top spot. What they got that I not got dough, got lots, got knots. Like my last name, bust up, bang, bang, pop, pop. Them.
So after adding that extra high end, for me, there's just too much sibilance now. It's a bit spluttery, it's a bit messy. So I've used this plugin here, which is sibilance, to reduce that further. So this is the second DSR that I've used, and this is at the end of the chain here.
Melodies sound like raindrop dropped off, rave got locked off, juice from Top Shop. Bro just got out the cop shop, when, what, who's there, knock, knock. Flow that I got hot, just like the hot rock that put a hole in your top spot. What they got that I not got dough, got lots, got knots. Like my last name, bust up, bang, bang, pop, pop. Them boys swag with no styly. Them man learnt my swag from their stylist. Nice up the dance general.
So it's really just taming down these S's really well and just making the vocal sound a lot more presentable. Let me just play another bit further down here.
Them man learnt my swag from their stylist. Nice up the dance general, I'm smiley. Man can't touch me, not in the slightest. If you dance general, I'm smiley. Man can't touch me, not in the slightest. If you dance general, I'm smiley. Man can't touch me, not in the slightest. If you.
Yeah, it's really helping to tame that. And that's all the processing that I've done in terms of compression and EQ on this vocal. Very simple. I tried to keep it as simple as possible with this, so this can be used as kind of like a recording or a rough mix template for you guys. So that's all I use for this. And then as you can see here, I've got 3 sends. First one is my slap delay here.
Bro just got out the cop shop, when, what, who's there, knock, knock. Flow that I got hot, just like the hot rock that put a hole in your top spot.
And for that, I've used H delay on these settings. Lo-fi setting is on, analog setting is off because this adds noise and I don't like it to add the noise to my chain. And as you can see, I've got a high pass and a low pass going on there as well.
What they got that I not got dough, got lots, got knots. Like my last name, bust up, bang, bang, pop, pop. Them boys swag.
I'm also EQing out some of the sort of low mids out of this delay, just so it's not too muddy.
Boy swag with no styly. Them man learnt my swag from their stylist. Nice up the dance general, I'm smiley. Man can't touch me, not in the slack.
I always like to have a nice slap delay on a rap vocal. You know, you can adjust this according to your taste. This is maybe a touch loud, but within the context of the mix, I think it sounded good. The next thing I added was this quarter note delay here. Let me turn off the slap delay and just play the vocal with the quarter note.
What they got that I not got dough, got lots, got knots. Like my last name, bust up, bang, bang, pop, pop. Them boys swag with no style. What they got that I not got dough, got lots, got knots. Like my last name, bust up, bang, bang, pop, pop. Them boys swag with no styly.
And as you can see, I'm using H delay again on this quarter note setting. And then I'm also EQing after that, putting a high pass and a low pass on here, so it's more of just the mid-range coming through on there.
Hot rock that put a hole in your top spot. What they got that I not got dough, got lots, got knots. Like my last name, bust up, bang, bang, pop, pop. Them.
Now the other couple of things I've added here on the end of this delay is I've used R compressor, another one of my favorites from Waves, and I'm using this in a sidechain setting, so I've got the vocals actually sidechaining into this delay and compressing the delay when the vocals are playing.
What, who's there, knock, knock. Flow that I got hot, just like the hot rock that put a hole in your top spot. What they got that I not got dough, got lots, got knots. Like my last name, bust up, bang, bang, pop, pop. Them boys swag with no styly. Them man learnt my.
So what this does is just pushes down on the delay when the vocals actually playing and helps it to kind of come up and rise up in the gaps of the vocals rather than kind of overpowering the vocals while words are actually being said, if you follow me. So this just helps to kind of push it down and help it to come up in any spaces.
Reverb got locked off, juice from Top Shop. Bro just got out the cop shop. When, what, who's there, knock, knock. Flow that I got hot, just like the hot rock that put a hole in your top.
And there's two on here because one's for the chorus vocals and one's for the verse vocals. So this delay is used on the verse and the chorus. So I've put two R compressors there with different side chains, one for the verse and one for the chorus. And at the end of that, I'm using this Abbey Road's Plates Reverb plugin, which is just kind of, again, just helping this delay to kind of sit further back in the background.
Bro just got out the cop shop. When, what, who's there, knock, knock. Flow that I got hot, just like the hot rock that put a hole in your top spot. What they got that I not got dough, got lots, got nuts. Like my.
And after that, we've got a short verb as well.
And what, who's there, knock, knock. Flow that I got hot, just like the hot rock that put a hole in your top spot. What they got that I not got dough, got lots, got nuts. Like my last name, Boss Stock. Bang, bang, pop, pop. Them boys swag with no styly. Them man learnt about swag from their stylist. Nice up the dance general, I'm.
Quite subtle, quite low in the mix. Again, I'm using the Abbey Road's Plate for that on the vocal plate preset. I've messed around with this a little bit as well on these settings here, but you can see what I've done there. And then I'm taking out some mud with an EQ after that reverb plugin as well. So let me play you now this verse in a cappella with all the mixing applied and then with the beat as well.
Like my last name, Boss Stock. Bang, bang, pop, pop. Them boys swag with no styly. Them man learnt about swag from their stylist. Nice up the dance general, I'm smiley. Man can't touch me, not in the slightest. If you want a favour, ask man nicely. More time, I'll come through, I'm the nicest. Tops is patter and my crips is Nike. Still can't tell you my herbs and spices.
So this delay here on the end of this.
Herbs and spices.
These are nice little touches that I like to put. So all I've done here is I've duplicated the verse channel and then I've literally just cut and dragged up this last word, this word spices.
Herbs and spices.
Onto that channel. And then as you can see, the first three things in there is the same as the lead vocal. So I won't go through that. But then we've added H delay on ping pong, 1/8 ping pong setting. But then after that, I've actually used this Mondo Mod plugin. Take off the other things on there and just play this.
Spicy. Spicy. Spicy.
So it just kind of adds like a weird kind of phasing, filtering effect on there just to make it kind of stand out and differentiate it from the normal vocal sound.
Spicy.
Then again, I've put a reverb on here with the Abbey Road Plates plugin.
Spicy. Spicy. Spicy.
Again, just helps to add a different kind of texture to it. And then at the end of this delay, I'm also using the L2, and this is just kind of just compressing the hell out of it, to be honest, and kind of bringing it in line.
Spicy. Spicy. Spicy.
Yeah, sometimes I like to compress the end of the kind of feedback of the delay, and it helps it to kind of ring out for longer. So this is not doing a whole lot, and this is really optional, but I just liked what it was doing when I was messing around, you know, and that's how it goes sometimes. Also want to show you this delay in the second verse. Let me play you part of this.
Guadalupe, and I don't play no games, I'm not Lupe. Back with her, and I don't play no games, I'm not Lupe.
So yeah, really the same process as the delay I just showed you, but this time it's on quarter note. And it's important, you know, to vary the speed of the delays depending on the word, depending on the feel that you're going for. So in the first verse, I wanted the 8th note. In this verse, I've used the quarter note. But pretty much the same on there. I'm also using this Mondo Mod plugin again with the same reverb and the same limiting on the end of it as well.
Guadalupe, and I don't play no games, I'm not Lupe. Back with her.
That's a lot more quiet in the mix and more subtle, that one, than the first one. The other quick thing I wanted to show you on the end of this verse vocal is this kind of slowed down pitched effect here on the end.
Back with her, back with her, back with a banger up. Back with her, back with her, back with a banger up. Back with a banger up. Back with a banger up.
Yeah, so just wanted to add a little bit of a variation or an impact on this last little line here of the song. So again, same compression, de-essing and everything as the main vocal, but then we've used this vocal bend plugin, which just pitches the vocal down for us.
Back with a banger up. Back with a banger up.
And then after that, I've used the Waves Real ADT, which is a doubling effect. It adds a double layer and adds stereo width to it. I often like to add that kind of doubling effect to pitch down kind of demon vocals, for want of a better saying. And I've just added this reverb to the end of it. But I just wanted to include something like that in the template. I mean, this is on the actual song as well, but I wanted to make sure that I included that because I know people like to add these kind of pitch down effects to their vocals. So that's there for you to see how you can do that with Waves plugins, and also it's in the template for you. Back with a banger. Now moving on to the chorus vocals, the processing on these channels themselves is exactly the same pretty much as the verse vocals, so I'm not going to spend any time really going through that. As you can see, same kind of EQ, de-essing and compression on these. Back with her. But as these are double layered, this is two separate recordings and I've panned them, as you can see, left and right. Back with a banger again. Back with her. And similarly over here on the actual chorus stack, same compressor, same EQ, sibilance, but at the end of it I have done this slightly differently. So I've put this vitamin plugin on the end of the chorus stack. Back with a banger again. So it's just adding a little bit of sort of glisten, a little bit of high-end kind of sheen or air on the end of that using this high-end boost here. And I just liked it. I don't know, I just wanted the chorus to sound slightly different to the verse vocals, and I thought that it could do with a little bit of brightening up there. The only other slight difference from the verse vocal is there's a little bit more reverb and a little bit more of the quarter note delay being applied to this chorus. Just to, again, I like to do that sometimes, a little bit more reverb on the chorus, slight more delay because there's these gaps here. So you can hear the backwidda kind of being repeated there. And that's again just to kind of fill those gaps up and add a little bit of variation from the verse vocal where it wasn't so loud, that delay there. Now there is this delay throw as well on these lines, on the back with a banger again line. Back with a banger again. And for that, again, using H delay on quarter note setting with the ping pong on. And then I'm using chroma tape to add a little bit of grit and distortion to that delay. Back with a banger again. 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 And just hear it slightly breaking up there, just adding a little bit of kind of, distortion, and it just helps to differentiate it from the main vocal and sit a little bit further back as well. And then I've put a slight reverb on here as well. Back with a banger again. 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 So I'll play you this chorus vocal with the beat, and then we'll move on to these Adlibs and what I did with them. Back with a banger again. Back with a banger for them.
Melodies sound like raindrop drop.
Now these Adlibs is literally just another recording of Kamakaze saying back with a banger again, as you can hear here. Back with a banger again. Back with a banger again. I just wanted to add something like a different sound on these, which made them kind of stand out and add a little bit of impact for this chorus. So what I've done here is, first of all, I've added a little bit of pitch shifting on the vocal, just one semitone here. Back with a banger again. Back with a banger again. Back with a banger again. Again, just to really create like a difference, sometimes I'm adding things just to create a different texture, a different sound to the lead vocal so it can have more impact. After that, I'm adding a kind of radio filter here with the EQ, with this high pass filter and a bit of a low pass as well. Back with a banger again. Back with a banger again. Back with a banger again. And then it's being compressed A lot of saturation being added.
Back with a banger again.
And then I've used this Retrofy plugin, which is pretty cool. This can do a lot of different things, but I just pulled up this preset here, vinyl filter preset, and I thought it worked for this sound that I was going for.
Back with a banger again. Back with a banger again. Back with a banger again. Back with a banger again.
Yeah, so it just adds more of that kind of radio sound, that kind of phone sound. A lot of different things going on here, bits of distortion and things like that as well. Then, of course, the trusty H delay again with a little bit of quarter note delay on there.
Back with a banger again.
And then, again, the real ADT, kind of adding a doubler or stereo width effect on here.
Back with a banger again.
So we've gone from it sounding like this.
Back with a banger again.
To this.
Back with a banger again.
And in the context of the song, I think it just adds a little kind of impact element to those lines on the track.
Back with a banger again. Back with a banger for them. Melodies sound like raindrop dropped off.
Yeah, so it just helps to add a little bit of impact to those lines. You know, it's a very simple song with a very simple chorus. So as an engineer, you're always searching for those little elements that you can do to just add a little bit more life or a little bit more interest or ear candy so the listener can kind of, so you can keep the listener's attention as much as anything, you know. So the final thing that I added to these vocals is down here on my all vocal bus. So this applies to every single vocal in this project. And that is the Vitamin plugin. As you can see, I've added a little bit of high end, again, sort of harmonic distortion or excitement here in the high end.
Just like the hot rock that put a hole in your top spot. What they got that I not got dough, got lots, got knots. Like my last name bust up, bang bang pop pop. Them boys swag with no styly. Them man learnt my swag from their stylist. Nice of the done. Back with a, 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 back with a banger again. Back with a, back with a, back with a, back with a, back with a.
Yeah, so it just really helps to bring out a little bit more glisten and high end and air to the overall vocal. And I probably mixed the song without this on, and then at the end just kind of thought, I just want to give the vocals overall a little bit of a lift or a little bit of a different sound. And a nice way to do that is to do it on your all vocal bus here where all your vocals are. So this kind of universally adds this to all your vocals together. Now the final thing I've added to the all vocal bus is this tape emulation plugin, the Abbey Road J37. And I really like this just for adding that little bit of sort of vintage warmth, saturation and analog vibe at the end of all of my vocals. And I do this all the time, but I use different tape plugins for this. But for this track, we went with this. Let me show you what this is doing. This might be quite subtle, but I'll play it in a cappella as well so you can get a feel for that.
Who's there, knock knock? Flow that I got hot, just like the hot rock that put a hole in your top spot. What they got that I not got dough, got lots, got knots. Like my last name bust up, bang bang pop pop. Them boys swag with no styly. Them man learnt my swag from their stylist. Nice of the dance general, I'm smiley. Man can't touch me, not in the slightest. If you want a favour, ask man nicely. More time I'll come through, I'm the nicest. Top says Patter and my crep says Nike. Still can't tell you my herbs and spices.
Yeah, so it's quite subtle, but it's adding a little bit of kind of warmth down in the sort of low mids and a little bit of kind of saturation. And it's also, for me, it's helping to tame a little bit of the high end that we just added with the Vitamin plugin and kind of smoothing things out a little bit.
Back with a banger again. Back with a banger for them.
So I'll just run a little bit of this chorus and the last verse just again so you can get a feel for all of the mixing and how it all sounds all together.
Back with a banger for them. Feeling good like new dawn, new day. Wake up and smell the flowers bouquet. True say, yeah, I'm the king of the UK. Songs on FIFA and on 2K. Game needs fixing, not like Juve. Creme de la creme, get bun like brulee. Rhythm for your head, top tune for your toupee. True say, when I'm clear like Blu-ray. More than nice, Morgan Spice, not Douce. And I don't give two what you do say. Touche, flow hot like Guadalupe. And I don't play no games, I'm not Lupe. Back with her.
Okay. Now the final thing to cover for this track is what I did over here on the stereo bus or the master bus. Now I didn't really try to properly master this song. I just tried to add a few things to kind of glue the mix together, push it forward and add some level so that I can demonstrate what I used to do that And also so you guys can use these in any way you wish if you get hold of the template. So the first thing is the SSL compressor, and this is just kind of gluing the mix together a little bit. Quite subtle, but I'll show you the before and after of what it's doing.
Bro just got out the cop shop, when, what, who's there, knock, knock. Flow that I got hot, just like the hot rock that put a hole in your top spot. What they got that I not got dough, got lots, got knots. Like my last name bust up, bang, bang, pop, pop. Them boys swag with no styly. Them man learnt my swag from their stylist, nice of the done.
The next thing I used is this Infected Mushroom Pusher plugin. And I really like this plugin. It's the first time I've really messed around with it properly. But as you can see, I'm using just quite subtly. I'm adding a little bit of high end. I've spread the stereo image a little bit with it, a little bit of push. I'll show you before and after, and I think this is just adding a little bit of sparkle to the mix and pushing it forward a little bit.
It's nice of the dance general, I'm smiley. Man can't touch me, not in the slightest. If you want a favour, ask man nicely. More time I'll come through, I'm the nicest. Tops is patter and my crips is Nike. Still can't tell you my herbs and spices. Back with her, 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 back with a banger again. Back with her.
Yeah, so it's adding quite a bit of nice level to the song. It's boosting it up a little bit, making it a little bit wider, and also adding some nice high end on there. So it's actually doing quite a bit, and I like what it did there. Next, the first limiter in the chain, and this is the L3 Multi Maximizer. I've used this plugin for so many years on various things, and I still like this plugin a lot.
Bro just got out the cop shop, when, what, who's there, knock, knock. Flow that I got hot, just like the hot rock that put a hole in your top spot. What they got that I not got dough, got lots, got knots. Like my last name bust up, bang, bang, pop, pop. Them boys swag with no styly. Them man learnt my swag from their stylist. Nice of the dance general, I'm smiley. Man can't touch me, not in the slightest. If you want a favour, ask man.
Clearly adding a lot of level to the song, which is what we want from a limiter like this. But I like this plugin because it allows you to kind of prioritize certain areas of where you want the gain reduction to come and where you don't want it to come. I've not really played around with it on this. I liked it just how it was by default. And then after that, we're using the L1 limiter just to add a little bit more level. And also, I brought the output ceiling down here. I like to do this just to make sure we've got nothing clipping, nothing going over 0 in the kind of digital world for when we convert to MP3 and things like that. Some people like to put it down at -1. I generally put it at -0.5. This is just adding another little touch of level to the track.
True say, yeah, I'm the king of the UK. Songs on FIFA and on 2K. Game needs fixing, not like Juve. Creme de la creme, get bun like brulee. Rhythm for your head top, tune for your toupee. True say when I'm clear like Blu-ray. More than nice, Morgan Spice, not do say.
And then at the end, this is a meter that you've probably seen in my other videos. I use this on every single mix. And this just gives you your short-term and your long-term sort of overall volume, your LUFS.
Not got dough, got lots, got knots. Like my last name bust up, bang, bang, pop, pop. Them boys swag with no styly. Them man learnt my swag from their stylist. Nice of the dance general, I'm smiley. Man can't touch me.
So this is kind of hovering between -9 to -12 LUFS, which is not super loud. It's not quiet, but it's not super loud. But that's where I felt this mix sounded nice at. And I don't think it needed pushing any further, really. So that's how we left it. So guys, that's the end of the video. I appreciate you checking this out. If you're interested in downloading the mix template from this session, the links will be in the description, along with all the links to all of the plugins that I used. If you're interested in any of my services, please get in touch. My contact details are in the description below. If you're new here, please click the subscribe button. Check out some of my other videos if you like what you saw, and hopefully I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.